Welcome, everybody, to Reality Derby. It is February 3rd, 2025, and we have a great show today, don't we, Denton?
We do, Marcus. We have two guests today. The third place contestant from Hell's Kitchen, Egypt, is going to be speaking with us, and the star and co-creator of Sketchy Queens, Jinkx Monsoon.
Yes, I love Jinkx. And we'll also be recapping Hell's Kitchen, One Hell of a Ride, The Traitors, A Dysfunctional Family, Deal or No Deal Island, Throw and Tell, and RuPaul's Drag Race, RDR Live. That's a lot to get to, so I think we should start right away.
It's overload. So let's get into it with Egypt first. And here's Egypt from Hell's Kitchen. Egypt, congratulations on your third place finish on Hell's Kitchen. You came so close to that final. 1 point separated you and Hannah. What was going through your head in those final moments?
In those final moments, it drags. It seems like an eternity while you're standing there, and the words are falling out of his mouth so slowly because you have. I know I have a 9, and all I can think is her dish has to be an 8. It has to be an 8. It has to be an 8, and it's just time slows down. All that's all you can think about is just that right then, right now. What's the next thing that's going to come out of his mouth? How good is that food? How good is Hannah's dish?
You looked okay though when you had been eliminated. You were sportsmanlike. I will say that. But was that devastating? I mean, did it hurt to go home at that point?
Absolutely. It was, you know, at the end of the day, it's still a competition. And so I can be upset at the result, but I can't be upset at the person who came before me. So, with Hannah and Kyle taking those spots in front of me, it definitely was a huge blow to my heart. But professionally speaking and knowing that it's a competition, I mean, they are two powerhouse beast chefs, and they went harder than I did apparently, and so I have to respect that.
What was the game plan going in? Was it difficult to come up with that five-course meal? And at what point in the competition do you start sort of thinking about that? Like, this is coming. How long did it take you to sort of come up with that final
So
dish?
I had my final menu in my head for the entirety of the competition. Not being egotistical and saying that I knew I was going to make it to the end, but I've watched every season of Hell's Kitchen before. It's just something that's a part of my life. And so I knew that these are things that I had to think about regardless of anything. You should always plan to be the last one on standing. And so I had that in my head going in there, honestly, and I had that menu pretty much skeletoned out in my head before I even got to that point.
And your celebrity chef crush, Stephanie Izzard, gave you a 10. So that was a highlight, right? At what point did you start crushing on Stephanie Izzard?
I started crushing on Stephanie Izard back when I was in high school. When she first opened Girl and when she was first opening Girl in the Goat, I did a report on her in school and I fell in love so hard. Yeah, I even sitting here thinking about it is making me kind of like nervous. Like she has always, aside from her being absolutely gorgeous, she is a powerhouse chef. She has made her own way through the industry. My niece actually worked that Girl in the Go for a little bit, just as a busser. And I follow her career. I follow her career really closely because I think she is an amazing chef. And I actually, aside from crushing on her, I actually do idolize her as one of our leading people in the industry in this day and age.
This entire series is so emotional. What was it like to see your mom and your brother walk through those doors? Did that surprise you? Were you expecting that? Because you were the most emotional by far of all the contestants when your family got there.
So I definitely expected it. I knew at some point, they bring families in, for the lag stint of the race. I I don't know, even knowing that, just when Kyle came out the door and was like, "Your family's getting ready to walk through," and I was like, "It's just." being there is such a dream because you're pretty much cut off from the world, and cooking is the only thing you're thinking about. And so being in the dorms itself is already just so surreal. Now adding the element of my older brother and my mom being in a spot that I never thought that I would get a chance to be in, and seeing her reaction and seeing my brother's reaction, and I could just see how proud they were as soon as they walked through the door. And I knew for a fact that they, no matter what happened, that they were going to look at me and say that, they love me and I tried my best. And, I think that right there, I think it was letting me know it was okay type thing. Like everything that was going on there, all the trials and tribulations or whatever you want to call them, it wasn't for naught. And as soon as they walked in and saw me, they saw what I've been carrying. And so it was just refreshing. It was nice. It was a load off. I don't typically see my mom because I live in a different state. So that was amazing, not seeing her for about a year. And then all of a sudden, boom, she's right smack dab in the middle of one of my craziest dreams. Yo.
Right after being eliminated, you have to go right back in and help someone win. How difficult was that? And did you expect to be recruited onto Hannah's team?
So, it's hard, getting eliminated any other time. You are out of the competition, you're away from the dorms, you have a small window to decompress from the events of the competition, from everybody who you were around. And being eliminated third and not having that time, because you get off that stage and you sit right down and then you get right back in it. So there's no time for yourself to work through anything you're feeling, to process any of your emotions that may have come, because it's still an elimination. I'm not ungrateful at all that I came in third. Not at all. It was an amazing life experience and I would never change it for anything. But the processing of it in my own mind of like, wow, I really just got to the finish line and I fell flat on my face. And, I'm a realist through and through. I am a firm believer. I lost by 1 point. And I do believe that, if you're not first, you're last. Like, unfortunately, it's just the way of the world. It doesn't sound pretty, but it is the truth. So, but through all that, it's still a competition and I'm still a head chef. And outside of the show, I'm still an executive banquet chef. I still have to run my brigade the way I would any other day, regardless. And so I know being there still, I have to do that same energy for Hannah. And I knew I was going to be on Hannah's team because, again, Kyle and majority of the blue team did not vibe with me for majority of the show. So I knew Hannah was going to pick me.
What was that? You came into the competition with quite a bit of confidence, but the blue team did not vibe with you. Why was it so hard for you to mesh with them? It looked like it got easier as the competition went on, but they really targeted you early on.
I think it was more. So I think it's more my fault in terms of I was under the impression, as us all being head chefs or exec chefs or whatever title that we all had, I was under the impression that most of us, because we were around the same age, we were all brought up in the industry around the same time with the same type of chefs, with the same type of mentors, aka, loud, do this, do that. But knowing that when they yell at us, it's never a personal attack against us. It's not because they hate us. It's not because a chef needs to be loud in the kitchen, has a commanding voice, because the kitchen itself is loud. And so everybody's talking, all the equipment's going, all the machines are roaring. And everybody needs to know that when I hear that loud, piercing voice over all this equipment, over everything, when I hear that loud, obnoxious voice, that's the commander of the kitchen, either looking for something that he needs right now, or something so important needs to be heard by everybody in the kitchen, that loud voice is a signal to everybody, stop talking. Let's listen to what we need so we can execute it and do a successful service. And that's how I was brought up in the kitchen. And that's how I've seen a lot of people brought up in the industry. And so to get there and all of them are, well, we run quiet kitchens. And I was like, I don't know what a quiet kitchen is. And they're like, well, we don't yell at each other in our kitchen. We talk to each other and we ask each other. And I'm like, that's fantastic in a small restaurant that doesn't do too much high volume. But if you're in a country club or you're on a cruise ship or in a hotel, like where I'm acclimated to, then nobody's walking over to their grill cook when they have 105 ticket orders on the board, and walking up to their grill cook and saying, "Hi, I know you're busy, but I was just wondering if you can get me that burger for table 72. That'd be great. You don't have to, but if you can." And they don't, well, we run quiet kitchens. And I was, that's a really weird concept. And that means you guys aren't used to high volume, because you should know a loud voice and confidence has nothing to do with trying to make you feel bad or look bad or whatever the case may be. It's just how I thought we were all brought up in the industry, but clearly we weren't. And I was willing to compromise. I definitely spoke to the blue team, and I told them, like, if you want me to pull back in terms of, we had a whole conversation. If you want me to pull back, I will pull back. But it's a two-way street. You guys have to rev up your engines if you want me to slow down my engine. And even after me slowing down my engine, they still wouldn't rev up. And I don't think they ever really warmed up to me. It only got easier, and it only looked so because blue team was getting eliminated like flies.
Well, Gordon had your back. I mean, he always saw something in you. What was it like having him as a mentor? And at one point, he even like talked you out of leaving the competition.
Having at that point in the competition, I was so just, as a father, I was so done with being away from my kids. A lot of people have speculations about why I was leaving, why I was crying, and all this stuff. And I tell people all the time, honestly, you'd never hear me mention my team, not once, because it had nothing to do with my team. I don't know anybody on my team. They had no bearing in my life, so they don't control my emotions in any way. But being away from my kids and having zero communication, that's something I've never had to do before. It's something that was the hardest part of the competition, is being able to mentally ground myself enough, because I felt like I was doing something wrong. I felt like being away from my kids with no contact whatsoever, like no video, no quick text message, no nothing. I felt like being away from them for so long with no contact whatsoever is what got to me, because I felt like I was doing something wrong as a father, not as a chef, not as a person there. I didn't care about my team or anything like that. And so with Ramsey's words, and Ramsey just reiterating and reminding me, like, yes, you missed them, but what is this for? What are you doing this for? Why are you doing this? And I'm in the exact same boat as you. He left his babies to come, do his filming and everything like that. And, I can only imagine being away from your kids for that long. And so I know if Chef Ramsey is standing here in front of me telling me, no, you can do this and you're not a quitter, and the last thing you want is for your kids to see you as a quitter. No, you should stay. You're gonna stay. And you know what? I was like, it sounds so stupid and corny, and the whole thing was sappy, but it really did speak volumes to my heart of hearts. And from that moment on, I was like, you know what? He's right, and I'm not a quitter. And the last thing I want is my daughter ever looking up at me and being like, Dad, you couldn't just tough it out. And so, you know what? I toughed it out.
And we see you here. We talking as you're heading into work here. You still got the chef jacket on. So what's next? Where do you hope your career goes, and where can people expect to see you in the future?
What's next for me? The show was amazing. It wasn't everything. It was a huge part of my life, but it wasn't everything. I'm already, as the show showed, executive banquet chef at the Country Club at Marisol. So I already have a really well-established career and a good path that I'm on. However, with this show and my face being put out there all over the place, I'm really hoping that I just started my private chefing company, the Busy Chef Dining, and I'm hoping that takes off. I've already booked several events in this coming year for these things. Aside from that, I really going to make my online presence known. I really want to start doing tutorials and cooking videos and stuff, and just getting the cooking knowledge out there for people, just because I feel like everyone on this planet deserves to eat good food, regardless of what you look like, your color, your race. I don't care about any of that. At the end of the day, if you're a human on this planet, you deserve to eat good food. And so my goal is to start looking for investors and stuff like that, so I can start opening up a series of restaurants, running a side of my Busy Chef company as well. So stay tuned for a bunch of online content and definitely a bunch of my face being blasted around doing some charity events and stuff.
We look forward to that. And Egypt, congratulations again on a top three finish on Hell's Kitchen, and thanks for chatting.
Absolutely. Thank you for taking the time out for actually talking to me. I appreciate it. It's awesome.
Okay, so that was Egypt. He seemed very nice. Was he nice in person to talk to?
I mean, yeah, he's great. And just 1 point. He missed the final by 1 point to Hannah. So it's kind of crushing then to have to go right back in and help her because he was the first person she chose to be on her team.
Mhm.
And so it was interesting to hear his perspective of like, yeah, you just lose everything and then you have to go right back in and help someone try to win. So it'll be interesting to see how all of that plays out. But it
Yeah.
was a good episode. I mean, they had to come up with their meal plan and they had all those different judges. Interesting that Kyle won pretty easily. He
Mhm.
won the table side thing with the executives at Foxwoods. I mean, for weeks we were saying, I don't know if he's a real serious contender. He's just so much fun to watch, but he's sort of becoming the front runner now. I mean, he's winning these big moments.
He kept getting 10, 10, 10. It was like the Olympics. And he was the first one into the final two easily. And then it became, kind of a showdown. And, I still think you could be right that Hannah's winning, but I'm not going to discount Kyle anymore. We have been discounting him, and I'm maybe going to root for him to win this whole thing.
Yeah, it's going to be a close finish. They're both very capable. So, it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out.
And we also saw their families come and surprise them in the kitchen, and that's always like a sappy moment. There's always so many tears when the family
Except
comes.
for Kyle. Kyle was like, "Hey, mom,"
And
and then
then
Egypt
he
sobbing.
Yeah, he's like, Egypt, you might want to go out. Your family's here. And Egypt just started crying before he even saw them.
Yeah, it's funny. And we're going to talk to Hannah and Kyle. We will have that interview once we find out who the winner is. So that'll be exciting to talk to them and have a little reunion with those two.
Exciting. Come on, Kyle. Fingers crossed for Kyle. Okay, so should we get into the Traitors? It was a very, very
Oh.
good episode, I would say.
I'm rolling my eyes in frustration, not because it was a bad episode. I thought it was a very good episode. I just can't believe what is happening. So maybe let's just start by saying like Bob H was murdered and
Yeah,
that's sort of forgettable. Like I already forgot he was there. Like it
I know.
was
I had to make a note to remind myself who got voted out or murdered because I just don't like the way they do it at the breakfast. It's so repetitive at this point. I wish there was a new way to murder somebody. And it seems like maybe next week we're going to get a new way. It looks like the traitors are going to go face to face with whoever they're murdering in the church. I'm like, yes, that is exciting, something that we can look forward to.
also they've all watched the Traitors enough now. You know that if you're the last one to breakfast, they were talking about you. Like you know you were this close to being murdered. So and they never talk about it. Does production just say don't bring that up? Because they have to know, like I was this close to being murdered.
Yeah, that's a really good point. They've never mentioned that before. If now I know if I'm ever on the traitors and I'm the last one in, like I was the second choice that the
Yes.
traitors were talking about.
And I would make a big deal about it.
Yeah. And the shields were won by Carolyn, Chriselle, and Dylan. And there was some anger because they were doing the rock, paper, scissors and no, it was the anger was with Carolyn, sorry. She just reached in and grabbed it.
Yeah, which is
She wasn't
humorous.
she wasn't very diplomatic. But the other two, Chriselle and Dylan, did the rock, paper, scissors.
And Derek was very upset to lose that. And then Wes lost the other one. Wes lost to Chriselle, I think so. And it was bad for both of them. Although in the end, it didn't matter for Wes because he ended up being banished, which is sort of the reason I was rolling my eyes at this. So Derek had this great pitch. He was finally like, okay, I finally composed myself. Now I'm going to throw the hammer at Rob. And everything he said made sense. And Rob still was able to twist it and turn everyone on Wes. Wes gets banished. And now, even though Wes is gone, there's still not like, okay, well then it has to be Rob. Now Brittany's thinks Derek is shady, and he thinks she's a traitor because she was sticking up for Boston Rob. It's like, why is it so hard for them to just try? Like, it all
I
lines up. Like they have all of this evidence, and they keep going for people with no evidence. Evidence.
yeah.
It's all fake.
Rob is a genius at this show. Like every accusation they throw at him, he circles right back around. He defends himself perfectly. I'm starting to believe that maybe Rob is a faithful.
I mean, it's just so frustrating to watch them fall for it, though. And
Yeah,
Wes's downfall is that he's just such a like a dick. Like he's just such a pompous sort of like you're all idiots. So they've kind of even admitted that they just kicked him out just because they don't like him. Um,
yeah. And
but his,
he made a huge mistake at the round table, Wes did. And I know you're a fan of Wes from his other shows, but when he said, if you vote for me, I'm coming after you, like, goodbye, bye, Wes. And I don't care if you're a traitor. I don't care if you're faithful. You're coming after me either way. Like, what a stupid comment.
and it's frustrating to see Brittany turn on Derek. Like those two are supposed to be like a
I
big brother
know.
unit, and she's now got the glazed over look for Rob. It's just
Yeah.
fascinating to watch that he can't sit people down and be like, how can you just watch all of this? And then Wes is a faithful, and just how is it not the most obvious thing in the world? And then the other exciting thing is Carolyn just going straight for Danielle.
Good for her. She's
Yeah.
standing up for herself. Danielle made too many mistakes as a traitor, and one of them being going to so many different people like Dylan and Brittany and whoever else to say, to throw Carolyn under the bus. Obviously, it would get back to Carolyn. Things always get back to everybody. So the fact that, Carolyn said in the turret, "Oh yeah, let's work together," but then she went after her at the round table was very, very juicy, and I loved it.
Yeah, we have never seen traders hate each other like this. I mean, just even watching them interact, it's like there's no coming back. And they were like, I think at one point, like Rob's like, where do we go from here? And Carolyn is like, we have to get rid of Danielle.
In front of Danielle.
Yes, and Danielle was just sitting there like,
Yeah.
really?
And she also said, I think this was at the beginning of the episode, she said, I just want to murder you two. I don't care about the other people. I want to
Yeah.
murder both of you. Oh,
So
the
it's gonna
this
be interesting to
trio.
see who survives.
I hope they all survive.
I do too, but at this point, I feel like Danielle will go before Rob.
Yeah.
It blows my mind what Rob is able to get away with.
And remember, all Bob the drag queen did was say one of these three guys could be a traitor, and Rob got rid of him. Danielle has actually voted for Rob now. Like, what is he going to do to Danielle now that she's put his name
Yeah.
down on paper? That he's
Well, and
going
he also got rid of Bob Harper for saying a very small thing about him at the round table the night
to.
before, which Derek beautifully laid out in front of everyone. Yet no one wanted to hear anything about it.
Derek is a reality show genius, but he's nothing compared to Rob Mariano.
I mean, I mean, the jury's still out. We'll see.
We'll see what happens.
He laid it out well. It's just he's just not as convincing. I guess
Mhm.
he doesn't have the charisma.
And there's one other thing at the round table I wanted to mention before we move on. When Dolores started the round table by going after Tom Sandoval, and she's like, I don't trust you anymore. You're being, such and such. And Derek goes, I'm sorry, there's more important things to talk about. He just completely shut her down, which I loved. I
Like no
wonder
one cares about Tom Sandoval.
No, I wonder how much time is devoted to these roundtables. Like, are we seeing all of it, or is it twice as long or three times as long?
Yeah.
I just wondered that.
I would imagine it's significantly longer, but
We should ask the
yeah.
next trader that's eliminated, we should ask them. Okay, Deal or No Deal Island had a very exciting episode. First, there was the showmance, MG and Storm.
Who I'd
And
never seen until this point.
I know they weren't shown very much on TV. And then I kind of want to fast forward to the ending where Dixon, my namesake, only he spells it wrong. He ended up making the best deal in the history of the show. He took the $5 million case, which got added to the pot, And he didn't eliminate the one Will wanted him to. He eliminated Storm because he saw Storm as a threat. So he's playing his own game, which I love. He's not being persuaded by anybody else. So I'm rooting for Dixon now.
Yeah, big Dixon energy. That was the chant of the day. And he kept telling Will he would get rid of
CK.
CK. I'm still like getting the names together. There's so many people there.
Mhm.
Um, did he know Will wanted CK gone? Like
I
what made
think
him say
so.
that? Because he clearly had no intention of doing that.
Yeah, and I think he maybe realized like I don't want to be bullied into, eliminating somebody that won't affect my game. I'm gonna do what I want to do, and I love that spirit.
And now
And
Will's pissed because the
it is.
loyalty is gone. These people
Yeah.
always feel like people owe them everything. It's hilarious.
And there's a new alliance, the Family Alliance with Parvati, David, Dixon, and MG. I love that they have an alliance name. Like they think it's Big Brother or something.
Yeah. Or the mafia, the family.
And then in the excursion, they had to rank each other based on threat levels. And then they had to throw axes at whoever face they thought was like either the highest threat level or the lowest. Will was correct that he was the highest and he hit himself. But then Lachelle wanted to go after him too, or was it CK? Now I'm forgetting. But Will's like, don't go after me. Like I will save you if you don't do that. So I mean, he's playing the game, Will. I love this guy.
And Parvati was the second
Second
most.
biggest threat. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's not surprising.
Right. Big Dixon Energy making
It was a
history.
good episode. And then he got
Yeah.
rid of Storm.
Yep. And then
I
at
did
the
not know
end,
it was named Storm.
I know Storm is kind of a cool name.
Yeah.
Um, but at the end, the producers let MG come into his goodbye interview and kiss him. Like, I don't think that's fair. Like, once you're eliminated, you should leave. You shouldn't get to see somebody from the show. Do you know what I mean? Like, imagine if they did on the Survivor. Like, if on Survivor your torch is lit or snuffed, and then you walk down the thing, and then they bring someone else to talk to you. Like, no, the show's over for you.
There's not really any
Nobody's.
secrets he can reveal. I mean, I suppose he could have had secrets, but I don't
Yeah.
know.
So, okay, let's move on to RuPaul's Drag Race. But first, we should show the interview I did with Jinkx Monsoon. Jinkx is a two-time winner of RuPaul's Drag Race, season 5, and the All Stars, All Winners season. So she is the queen of all queens. She's my favorite queen of all time. And I asked her, does that get to your head when people call you their favorite? So we will hear her answer right now. Should we go to it?
All right, here's Jinx.
Hi, Jinx. How are you? I'm Marcus with Gold Derby. First of all, where do you keep your crowns? You're the queen of all queens, of course.
All right. Well, so my first crown, my first crown is at my manager's office, because kind of like trotting the pony around a little bit. But my second crown and scepter are in my office at home in Portland on my trophy shelf. But trophy is a loose term because I have a lot of different things up there that you might not consider a trophy.
How much do you love that you're from the Pacific Northwest? I'm from the Seattle area. I miss it up there.
Okay, so I need to clarify something. I was born and raised in Portland, Oregon. I then moved to Seattle for college. People don't understand that these two cities are like this, So some people are like, you never talk about Portland. And I'm like, I talk about the greater Pacific Northwest. Now, if you are from the Pacific Northwest and you venture out into the world, you will always have a yearning to go back there, a calling that brings you back eventually. It's like the Amish on Rumspringa. 90% of them wind up back in the community.
When people tell you that you're their favorite contestant of all time, what does that do? Does that get to your head at all?
I like to block those things out because I'm a Virgo and I'm terrible at accepting compliments. But what I like to translate it to in my over-analytical brain is that they really appreciate the work that I'm doing. And I really like doing the work that I'm doing. So as long as we're all still getting something out of it, let's keep going.
What can you tell fans about season 2 of Sketchy Queens? We're so excited for it.
So, okay, when you get to a season 2, you really get to like pull the ripcord, and we've got guest star. We got a budget. That's all. That should say it right there. They believed in us enough to give us a crew, and we worked that crew. No, no, it's very, very special because everyone who worked on it contributed. You know, like every person, even the sound ops and the makeup artist, Fina Barbatal, like we all contributed to the sketches in the end. There's a little bit of us in all of these sketches, and it's lovely.
You released a sketch where you may or may not be a witch in the sketch, and you have a nice mole on the tip of your nose. What can you tell us about that one?
About the mole? The mole and I don't speak anymore. Kept ratting me out. Get it? And no, well, that sketch, that one was more of a Pete and Liam sketch, kind of teaming up behind my back. And then I showed up on film day and I was like, all right, you want this? Fine, I'm going to give it to you. That's the fun of our group is we all write the sketches and conceive them. So sometimes I'm just saying yes to one of Liam's stupid ideas.
Stupider the better.
And vice versa. You gotta have a place for stupidity, right?
And you know, the ultimate sketch show is Saturday Night Live. What if they invited you to be a guest host? Would you say yes?
Guest host? Yes. Music guest? Also yes. I would love to pull out, wait, did Timothy just do that? Timothy, colleague. Yeah, I want to do that.
So, final question for you. This is the year of the witch with Wicked, with Agatha all along. Do you feel like you had something to do with that? You've been on the no?
No, because this is a grand tapestry that goes back as far as civilization. So I'm just but a fiber in it. But I'm happy to be woven in. That's as witchy as I can get about it.
Thank you for chatting with us today. Have a great day.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so that was Jinkx. She was promoting season 2 of Sketchy Queens. It's kind of an SNL type sketch show on Wow Presents Plus. It's for drag queens, so it's very gay. And she stepped on the red carpet. That was at the Wow Presents studio in Hollywood, and she was with her co-creator Liam Krug and some of the RuPaul's Drag Race winners and contestants. It was actually a really fun night. And then at the end of the night, Jinkx sang the Ballad of the Witch's Road from Agatha All Along. So it was really, really fun.
I've never seen her sing live. Does she do that often?
Yeah, she does. And it's funny in the interview, I asked her, like, would you want to be, if SNL called you to host? She was like, host or musical guest. So I think she does see herself as equal parts actress, singer, which is cool.
Have they ever had?
A
I don't
drag
think I've
queen?
heard it. Has RuPaul's hosted?
Yeah, RuPaul, but none of the others, sadly. So speaking of Drag Race, we had Paul W. Downs from Hacks was the guest judge, who I absolutely love. Hacks is just having a moment right now. And your favorite girl, Anya Nerve, chose herself to do the monologue for this RDR Live, which is kind of like Saturday Night Live. And it was a huge risk, but it really paid off for her. She totally wowed everybody.
I mean, it was boring because it was not a sketch. However, she has such a like easy personality and a natural presence about her that she has the ability to shine in a situation like that where a lot of other queens would not. Like they can't command a stage, but she just is able to do that. However, it wasn't interesting. Like it was like she didn't like kill it. Like it was fine. It was passable. She wasn't hilarious. It was just she's beautiful and nice to watch.
She did better than the lady last year, Mirage, I believe, who
Yes.
totally destroyed that monologue. So good for Anya for not destroying it, at least. And then my girl Susie too ended up winning the challenge. She came close last week, but she actually pulled it off this week. This is her second win already, and it's only what, episode five?
Yeah, I would
And
say she's probably the favorite to win
I think so.
because she's funny and she also has like her own sort of unique take on drag, the art form itself. Like she's not,
Mhm.
and that seems to stand out, especially when we've seen so many seasons. Is if they see something that's a little different, they naturally sort of gravitate to that.
Yeah, and she always makes up her face like a clown. And Michelle Visage has been, critical in the past, but she loved what she did this week.
Yeah.
And in the challenge, Susie 2 played Rue's babysitter on Weekend Update, who apparently she's the one that came up with all of Rue's catchphrases, which was a funny character that she played. And okay, should we talk about the bottom two?
A little bit.
Arietti, Lydia B. Collins. I like both of them. Lydia lost the lip sync, and she had to pull the lever. So let me ask you: do you still think there's a conspiracy theory? Because she pulled the lever, Michelle Visage went down into that water tank.
Okay, I think the conspiracy is over. I think I was wrong. I think that they weren't dying to save her, but I think you were right and what was the discussion we were having? You said there's like the little Easter egg. The levers were 1 and 7 that were safety, and it's season 17. So
Yeah, I
very
saw
smart.
that. I don't get credit for that. I saw that on online where somebody had mentioned. I think it was Daya had mentioned after the first episode when seven was the lever. She goes, "Well, I'm guessing one is going to be the other one for 17," and she was totally right. She called it. So no more dunk tank on
Yeah.
RuPaul's Drag Race.
Which
Should
is
they do
great.
this?
I just like I need people to go home. Like it's just too early to keep so many people around. I just want them like let's get to the like final
Yeah.
8 or something.
Should they do this twist again, or do you not want to see this again?
No,
Did you like the chocolate when they opened that and
not
it was gold?
particularly. I
So
like
you
people
just want these guys, you want
I
these
like
girls.
people to leave. I like maybe if there was some other like maybe like a one other thing of like in Survivor where they like find a hidden immunity idol. Like maybe there's like
Oh,
something hidden in the wigs or
yeah.
something like a secret that no one else knows and they can just like reveal it.
Oh, that would be fun. Maybe one of the high heels is like has like a golden heel or something.
Yeah, and I just wish it was like later on. It's hard to, I mean, when we're in the third and fourth week and like people aren't going home, it's just,
Hmm.
I like to get the party started.
What was the reaction? Because you saw this with a bunch of people when she pulled the lever and it was the correct one. What was the reaction?
So in wherever I was, it was a huge ovation, like
Okay.
major fans for Lydia B. Collins, which was, I mean, I'm not going to say it's shocking because I don't know who has major fans, but it was eye-opening to see that she has an extreme base of support out in the
Okay.
community. We were like at a viewing party in West Hollywood, so it was, um, yeah,
People like the butthole.
people like the butthole.
Imagine somebody coming in right now and just hearing that. Well, before we go, big news. The Voice is coming back for season 27. It begins Monday, February 3rd, when we are recording this. And who are the coaches this year?
Well, Adam is back, so that's the big
I
news.
know.
Is people we thought he would never return. So now Blake's been gone a few seasons, and Reba's doing her sitcom, so they put some sort of offer out to Adam that he couldn't refuse. So Adam is finally back, and he's with John Legend, who returns after a little break, and um,
Michael
Kel-
Bublé.
Michael Bublé, defending champion, and then
Oh,
Kelsey Ballerini, who's been involved with the show as like a mentor, and she subbed in for Kelly when Kelly was out one time, so she has experience, but it's her
yeah.
first official season as an actual coach.
Yeah, Kelsey, I think, has wanted this for a long time, so I'm so glad she finally gets the call. And yeah, you're right, Michael Bublé, he won last year, and he had the first and second place artist last year, so he has a lot to live up to. So we'll see if he can win back to back. I think the last one that won back to back was it Niall Horan? Did he do that? I know
Yeah,
Kelly Clarkson did back in the day. So yeah, we'll see if Michael Bublé can pull it off.
you might.
Well, thank you everyone for watching Reality Derby. We will have more stuff to talk about next week and more interviews with some eliminated contestants.